RealAgriculture Soybean School is brought to you by Basic Seeds and Lallemand Plant Care.
Hi, I'm Burnett and welcome to the Soybean School. Today I'm catching up with Nikki Burnett from Lallemand Plant Care. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you. I want to talk about biologicals here and, where they fit in soybeans and where growers can find the best fit for them, on their farms. Let's kick it off with biologicals in soybeans. I mean, this is nothing new, right? We've seen them in the past and they are part of the scene.
Yeah, no, exactly. Your inoculant that you're adding into your soybeans, that's, it's a biological that's going in and it's standard practice, but it's all about putting them where is the right context, where they fit. Yeah. And so, finding the right opportunities there. What
about, when people talk about biologicals, there's a whole different, group of categories and products. How do you break it down?
Yeah, so biologicals, it encompasses a whole bunch of different things. It's an umbrella term for all sorts of naturally derived substances. So it could be living and non-living things, anything from humic acid and seaweed extracts all the way to living microbes, which is really where our expertise is, but all of those fall under the umbrella.
Now I'm going to bring in your colleague Matt Fletcher in a few minutes. So we're going to talk about how to set up a trial and how to sort of test biologicals on the farm. But I guess maybe from your perspective, are there some best practices that growers should be following, when choosing a biological and I guess maybe handling a biological?
Yeah, absolutely. So for choosing a biological, I mean, there's so many different functions they can provide under that wide umbrella of products, but I think you need to start with your own operation and determining, where you need to improve things or where you might want to improve or optimize things, whether that's, nutrient use efficiency or specific stress, whether that's abiotic or biotic, and then kind of going from there to find something that'll fit in your context. And then for best use practices, we need to remember that they're not synthetic chemicals. They're a little bit more fragile and they need to be considered. So things like the storage temperatures, the application, when and how to apply them, and then also the compatibility with any products that may be going in with. These are all things you need to consider, and there's not really a one-size-fits-all approach to best practices. You really need to, know product by product, how does it need to be stored, how does it need to be applied, and how can you set yourself up for success when using these products.
So Nikki, you're based in Saskatoon, but you have a good perspective of, how biologicals are applied in the West, here in Ontario. I mean, take us through it. I mean, as the season runs, there's got to be opportunities to use biologicals, I guess basically starting with the seed.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can apply them with the seed or all the way into a foliar application. So some ways that we see often is, combining something with your inoculant that you're putting in anyways, whether that's on seed or a granular applied one in the field, then combining another, biological with it is a way to apply. But then you can also do in furrow and foliar kind of later in the season as you go.
Nikki, let's talk a little bit more about best practices. You mentioned that modes of action, we talk about them in herbicide and other chemistry, but they're very important in biologicals.
Absolutely. Having a clear mode of action is a really important part when you're thinking about how they can be integrated into your operation and, what benefit are they actually going to provide you. Especially when we're thinking about living organisms, they're forming a symbiotic association with the plant, and it's important to think about how you're handling the products as well as, how are you going to efficiently set it up so that it, can provide the benefit that you're anticipating.
Okay, Matt, let's talk about how we can set up a trial to sort of put biologicals, to the test on the farm. Let's start here. You always say, it's probably best to start small.
Yeah, exactly. So you want to start small and you want to be able to assess just that biological. You want to be able to know that you're just seeing that difference on that, and then you're seeing some of that consistency. And so it might not be a case where you want to blanket it across all the acres. You might want to set something up like a split planter trial if it's something that's seed applied, or if you can within a foliar application, leave a check strip.
Right.
That's a great way to be able to assess the difference between what was treated and what's not.
Do we have large field scale trials, or are we doing strips? or can we do a little bit of both?
Yeah, so I think once you've started small, a great thing to do is to get that field history in that trial. It really helps showcase the consistency, and it really helps showcase what's different on your operation that might not be the same for others.
Yeah.
And so you want to start small initially, but then maybe in that year 2, you can bump it up and do a field scale split planter trial, or a field with a few check strips involved in there.
What about harvesting that trial? I mean, anything we need to think about from a combine perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question, Bern. That's a good one. So you want to really be sure that if that's going to be your final assessment, if that's going to be one of the ways that you're gauging the success of that product, you want to make sure that you have proper ways of being able to assess that data. Whether that be having a single combine go through that field so you know it's set up and it's reading all the information across the field correctly, or having a dedicated scale to be able to weigh off that way and making sure that everything is fine-tuned and everything is sorted out properly, so you don't have any. So you can cut through some of the mess that might happen. So.
Now let's talk about how we assess, I guess, the performance here. Obviously we're going to run the combine, we're going to have some yields, but I think there's going to be some things we're going to be looking at during the season, right?
Yeah. So especially within the biological field here, and then the products that are under that umbrella, yield is always a great assessment, and that's something that is that I think is every grower's kind of end game. But unlike some other products or some other synthetic herbicides or chemistry, you might not see a difference in field always.
Right.
Now, if it's something that's a seed applied product, there's never a wasted trip in the field. Go out and dig some of those plants up. If it's something like a inoculant, or it's something like a nutrient use efficiency, root growth promoter, dig those plants up and assess the difference in those roots, and really be able to see from one side of the strip or between the treated block and the untreated block, pull up 5 to 6 plants and really take an assessment that way. But there's also a case where you might have a foliar applied, and this also accounts for seed applied biologicals as well. But taking a tissue sample in season is always a great way to assess the performance, especially if it's in that nutrient use efficiency channel.
Great stuff, Matt. Hey, any final thoughts for growers? Obviously, we've outlined the trial, we've outlined our expectations. Hey, any final thoughts on, what are the keys to getting that done right?
Yeah, and that's really important in the biological space here. It's a big thing we're always trying to find is that consistency and that repeated consistency, and it really starts right from the initial storage and handling. You got to make sure that these are living organisms or living microbes in a lot of cases, or it's a delicate mix, and you want to make sure that your storage and your handling of that product up to it being applied in field is done properly to make sure that you're setting yourself up for the best success.
Setting yourselves up for success. Matt, appreciate you making some time for Soybean School. Great to have you on.
Hey, pleasure's all mine, Bern. Thank you.
You can find more episodes of the Soybean School by going to soybeanschool.com or finding the Real Agriculture YouTube channel.